Money Unmasked is about the 4 money personas and understanding the shadow side of the persona and the winning side. The shadow side comes when we're in isolation, when we're in scarcity, and when we think we have to do too much on our own. When we think we have to do everything on our own or by ourselves, we limit our prosperity and we destroy collaboration because we get stuck in competition or envy and scarcity. On the flip side, there's the winning persona. If you find the winning personas that you are not, then it's about co-creation, collaboration, and expansion, because vision should not be something you can accomplish on your own. If you accomplish on your own, that's a goal or an objective, not a vision. If you are inspired by your vision, which is the rarest commodity in the world, it will tell your brain what's important and what to pay attention to. And people are looking for vision so badly because they want to be led. They want to be part of something that's big. I want to be really clear that this isn't about cutting back or scrimping or saving or sacrificing or delaying or deferring or setting it and forgetting it or investing early, often, and always, or waiting for 30 years for things to happen and hoping for the best. That isn't going to make you happy. As a matter of fact, it's going to harm your business and it's going to harm your life. Most of finance has been indoctrination, where you believe that money is something that's complicated and that you're supposed to rely upon the experts to take care of you. And ultimately, they're posing as experts, but most of the time just financial salespeople that take your money and hand it to someone they've never met. So I'm going to show where the model is broken and then give you a different model that I think will help you as a framework. And with that wealth framework, allow you to feel less guilt and shame around money, feel a lot more prosperity. And when I say guilt and shame, a lot of guilt and shame comes from people telling you, hey, you're an entrepreneur, and not understanding who you are, that DNA, and making you feel like you should be doing something with your money that's against the core of your being. And they think they're doing that to protect you. But for most people, their notion of protection around the concept of money actually is prevention of prosperity and not protection. So first thing is that wealth is a byproduct of a life well lived. Wealth is a byproduct of a life well lived. Most people think that wealth has to do with net worth, and they get confused and think their net worth and their self-worth are the same thing. But money's merely a man-made efficient tool to exchange with one another. It accounts for value that we've created in the past, and it's a snapshot in the present. But your bank account doesn't dictate your future or determine your potential. See, we all have hidden potential. We all have unrealized value. And I call that the value equation. So if you want more financial capital, it's really a byproduct of 2 more precious forms of capital. The first form of capital is your mental capital. It's your ideas, knowledge, wisdom, insights, strategies, and tools, and it's what you do for a living. You have mental capital that you're using this bridge called business to serve relationship capital, people, networks, organizations, mentors, friends, and family. So that bridge is merely business, and the bridge of serving others, solving problems, and adding value is the road to wealth. So when people tell you it takes money to make money, it never takes their money to make money. It takes your money to make money. Like, it doesn't take money to make money. It takes relationships and ideas, value and exchange. Even if you feel stuck right now, you might be one idea or one relationship away from the next level of prosperity. But only if you play a game worth winning, where you determine the win, where you make the rules. Society has been doing a good job of indoctrinating people to believe that if you just check certain boxes, then you'll be happy. And they get people addicted to these outcomes sometime in the future, where they sacrifice who they are along the way for one day, someday. But guess what? One day and someday is always in the horizon and never reachable. And the real way to win is to create a vision that's greater than your problems, that speaks to your soul, and engages you in this world. It's when you're congruent with who you are and what you do. And when the win is in the work, you enjoy the process along the way, not just the outcome. The outcome's a byproduct of who you are and how you live, and it's merely little benchmarks of joy along the way, not benchmarks of success. Success is who you are and how you live, not just what you achieve. But society wants you to think it's what you achieve, but I don't know if anyone else has checked those boxes, got there and felt a little bit disappointed. We're like, hey, money, make me happy. Hey, award, make this better. But if we lose who we are in that pursuit, then we lose. And people usually get stuck in one of two paradigms. And both of these paradigms are paradigms of scarcity. And scarcity is built around fear, doubt, and worry. And typically something that's handed down from us from generation to generation. Like my great grandfather left San Giovanni and Fiore in Italy because he literally couldn't put food on the table. Now I know you guys have lied and say that you do what you do for your family. I know you've said it. I do this for you in an argument. You do this for you, not for them. You do it for you. And most of the time we do it for us to prove out some shit that happened in our childhood that we didn't accept. And so we're saying, do you like me now? How about now? Well, what if I do this? What if I get that? What if I have this acknowledgement? And so it becomes this kind of treadmill. But see, most people that aren't in this room are stuck in play not to lose. Play not to lose, hiding from their problems, holding on to what they have, scared that they're going to lose it. And that's where most people live their life. That's like 80% of the population is play not to lose. Now, most entrepreneurs are in a different form of scarcity called play to win. Play to win is always about the future, always on the treadmill, never enjoying the present. That's why playing to win is still a losing game. And look, sometimes I hear entrepreneurs wear play to win like a badge or a moniker, like, look at me, I'm playing to win. I'm like, cool. So when do you know if you've won? What does winning mean? And most of them can't answer, because if it's about, hey, I've won once I've got this, like I hit New York Times and Inc. 500 in the same week, but I lost $200,000 on a real estate deal. Guess what I thought about that week? The $200,000 loss. My wife found out from someone else I hit New York Times and Inc. 500 is like, we're not going to celebrate. I'm like, why? I'm an idiot. I just lost 200 grand. Addicted to outcomes, not paying attention to details, because everybody told me that if you're going to be wealthy, you have to own real estate. And they said it was a passive income. Those lying. That was such bull. Okay. Like that was not passive, other than I watched my money pass me by if I didn't pay attention to it. I was like, I'm like, you know, this, like, I want everyone to think in terms of cash flow, but think of it as recurring revenue. Because as soon as you start thinking it as passive income, you think it's something for nothing and it corrupts the soul. If we choose not to maintain it through monitoring and management, then we are ultimately going to lose it, or we're going to actually have other people dislike us because they don't get to feel our energy and our vision and our intent. They just feel like they're doing it for someone else. So the story of our money is merely the story of our unprocessed trauma and pain in childhood. That's your money story. Your relationship to money is merely a reflection of the relationship to yourself. Anything that you haven't accepted or loved, you're likely to chase in the form of dollars. And here's the deal. Money is an amazing companion, but the worst solo artist. Meaning if you're like, hey, money, make me happy. Money cannot make you happy. Money can make you happier. Money can give you more options. Money can allow you to tap into other people's abilities. Money can help you measure whether something's effective or not. But when it's held up as make me happy, that's when people think that their net worth is going to make them happy. But the thing is, net worth doesn't translate into quality of life. So what I want you to think about is like, why is money important to you? What do you want to do with your money? Is it enhancing your life today and in the future? And if we even take a minute and go even deeper and further, can you remember your first moment or your first conversation or the first time you heard or thought about what money was? I remembered for the first time last week. I was asking a client this question. I do these one-on-ones and I asked the question and I was like, I haven't even answered that question. And I remember like hiding under the table and my mom and dad fighting about money because he worked at a coal mine. It was on strike and they weren't sure if they could pay the bills. And he was eating saltine crackers to make sure that we kids got to eat. And I remember I thought, if I could just make enough money, my family won't suffer. As a kid. And so my relationship to money was, it was going to solve problems that it's not able to solve. And if I could have enough for everyone, then I'll be okay. But you never know, because my great grandfather didn't have enough money to stay with his family. His wife was pregnant when he left Italy to come to the United States, didn't speak English. They changed his last name at Ellis Island. He gets on a train, goes to Carbon County, Utah, where there's coal mines. A coal mine blows up when he gets there, kills 106 people. So he becomes a goat herd, lives in a tent, and then finally saves up enough money for his family to come 7 years later, and he meets his daughter, and she's 7 years old. This creates folklore within a family that if you don't hold on to everything you've got, you could be separated and there could be loss. And so my family put cash in coffee cans. They buried it in the cellar. My aunt applied for welfare and they found $550,000 in her savings account. I mean, it was scarcity becomes a state of being to avoid poverty. So they're doing all they can to avoid poverty and end up in scarcity. And no amount of luck, no amount of saving, no amount of discipline, no rate of return, no financial advisor will save you if you're in scarcity, because scarcity is the greatest destroyer of wealth. It's either playing not to lose, hiding, or playing to win, running, all at the expense of today. So money is merely a byproduct of value. And vision is what determines your value. What's your vision? Do you have a life? Have you created a life you don't want to retire from? Like, let's even look at the model. This is why the model is so broken. The model's broken because what they say is, number one, you should accumulate. If you accumulate, it's a belief that there's three factors that determine your wealth. Number one, I already said, it takes money to make money. You heard that, right? Takes money to make money. That's the first notion. So your wealth is how much money can you put away. Number two, they say high risk equals high return. Risk means chance of losing. How does increasing your chance of losing help you win, by the way? Like, what drunken Wall Street idiot came up with that idea? Like, nobody wants to do this investment. Let's just tell them high risk equals high return. That sounds great. What the hell? How does increasing your chance of losing? And by the way, the way that risk works is the less connected you are to understanding the investment, the more risk you take. And the more degrees further away it is from you, the more risk you have. So I believe we all have our own investor DNA. Your investor DNA is your values, which is your script for how to operate. It's your competencies. Where are you capable? Where do you have these abilities? And it's your drivers. Where do you have interest and passion? And if we take that investor DNA, it's about focus, not diversification. See, what they want you to do here is they believe that diversification is the way to handle this. That you accumulate by how much money you can put away, how much risk you're willing to take, and then you probably heard this one, you're in it for the long haul. Who's excited to be in it for the long haul, by the way? When does the long haul end? When you die, and then someone else inherits the long haul. That sounds like a CrossFit workout, the long haul. Like someone's got a wheelbarrow with some bricks in it, and they're just going up a never-ending hill, and it only counts if you post it on Instagram. You know, like that's the long haul. So they tell you accumulate. They tell you to take risk. And by the way, they tell you to invest in things because you don't know how to invest, because you don't have time, because you're busy. And the investments that you should make are probably bonds, stocks, and real estate investment, like something to do with portfolios, right? So this is all portfolios. This is accumulate. This is take risk. This is diversify. And it's always in these funds instead of, so it's always handing our money over. And here's what's crazy about this. They want you to retire by putting money into things that create zero cash flow. And then when you retire, you're going to have to create cash flow from these things, having no practice in doing it. That's insane. And guess what happens to retirees? They retire from the world of value creation, so they're no longer in control of the outcome of their income. The market is. And they have three major culprits that rob their wealth. Number one, and retirees felt this recently, inflation. Inflation is confiscating their purchasing power. Number two, what if interest rates, like, okay, what if you retired 2 years ago, you have money in bonds, interest rates went up. It's the highest drop bonds have had in history in the last 2 years. Oops. Or number three, what if taxes go up? I don't know if you heard, but like here in the US, they owe $33 trillion. $33 trillion. You know how long it takes to count to a trillion? 32,000 years. No, I didn't try. Just Google it, right? Think about it, 32,000 years to count to, and that's if you can remember the number before. Like, this is crazy. You know what was going on 32,000 years ago? Neanderthals, an ice age. Joe Biden was probably just born, you know? That's the oldest dude on the planet right now. My great grandma lived to 103 and she was more spry than him. It's not even political, it's just ageism, okay? It's just ageism at its best. So this is my problem, like accumulate, take risk, diversify, takes money to make money, put money in funds. This is a broken system, and this is how broken it is. 95% of US citizens are not financially independent at age 65. 95%. A 95% failure rate, and people are still doing this. You want to know why they're doing it? Because they've been told that they're not smart enough. And people that went to Ivy League schools will do this for them, but they were trained in value extraction, not value creation. Like when a company goes public, are people going public to raise capital today? Or are they going public to exit their business? To exit the business. When the stock market was created, you're like, okay, we have this big idea. How are we going to raise capital for it? We have two options. We can lend and do these bonds, or we can give up equity and do stocks. But now we've got private capital. So everybody's already been funded and have everything they need. And then eventually they're like, cool, we want to go public so that we could take our money off the table. And every single firm that underwrites that or is involved says you should buy. It's a broken system. And look, this is the entrepreneur's way that I'm going to show you here. This is the entrepreneur's way. This is the way, A, that you don't have to feel guilt and shame, that you could do a different system. The first thing is, I want you to accelerate, not accumulate. What do I mean by this? There's 3 ways you can live within your means, right? The first way you can live within your means is budgeting. But budgeting sucks. Who likes to budget in the room? Just show of hands. One weirdo. We knew you were going to be here. I won't take it away from you. You're also, I figured out, was a serial killer last night. Doesn't like dogs, likes budgeting. Very concerned. Very concerned. No, won't take it away from you. But budgeting is about reduction, and nobody shrinks their way to wealth. Production is the name of the game, right? Serve others, solve problems, deliver value. If you get in a mindset of what can I eliminate at the expense of what you can create, that's where the first way that we live within our means is to budget. But there's 2 other ways to live within our means. Be more efficient within your means. I'm going to use like kind of just US language here for one of these 3 things because it just sounds better than me having a different thing. There's 4 I's to efficiency. The first I is the IRS or whatever fake thing you guys have in Canada, Canada Revenue Service for your loonies and toonies. Like who names their money loony and toonie? Whoever did. Yeah. So 1 is IRS. What we found is 98% of entrepreneurs overpay on their taxes. They tip the government. Number 2, the second I is interest. There's 3 R's to help you with interest. Restructure your loans, renegotiate your interest rates, and reallocate your funds. If you're earning 4% on your money and you're paying 8%, pay the loan off. That's 100% improvement. If you can buy something for $4 and sell it for $8, that's 100% markup, right? It's not a 4% spread, it's 100% spread. The third one is investments. A lot of hidden fees, non-performing fees. There's a lot of admin and legal fees and retirement plans. If you earn 9.2% instead of 10 over 30 years, it's an exponential expense. 100 grand grows to 1.74 million in 30 years at 10%. If it gets 9.2%, it grows to 1.4 million. That's a $340,000 difference because of the compounding costs. If there's a thing called compounding interest, it's impacted substantially by the return, but most people think in percentages instead of dollars and cents. The fourth I is insurance. A lot of people have improper structure, duplicate coverages. Here's my simple solution to insurance. Only insure the catastrophic, never the inconsequential. If you can write a check for it today and go to sleep tonight, that's inconsequential. Catastrophic is it harms your legacy, destroys your finances, transfer that risk. So these 4 I's are I's to efficiency: IRS, interest, insurance, and investments. That's going to be putting more money in your pocket. How can you keep more of what you make without painful budgeting? The third way to live within your means: continually expand your means. That's what you're here to do. You grow in value. You add more value. You serve more people. You solve bigger problems. You reach more people. You more deeply impact the people you reach. You do the things you've been learning over the last several days because it's a value creation game. How can you become a value creator? So here's my philosophy of acceleration. If we just take like any country's output, their gross domestic product, and divide it by their money supply, it gives us something called velocity. Velocity says, how many times do dollars exchange hands? The more times the dollar exchanges hands, the more output. If we say, no, we're going to print more money, guess what? Remember long division? If we add to the denominator, it doesn't increase our output, right? So printing money is just a way to tax the poor because rich people have assets. They have businesses and they adjust their prices. People that are barely able to make it in ends meet have variable loans. They go up in interest, and now they have to work extra, which puts labor onto the people that are in the worst situation. It's really a travesty. So how do we keep this fixed? How can we say no more money, that you don't have to save more, you don't have to scrimp more, but how do we increase the output? Expand your means or be more efficient. It's going to create more velocity. That money comes back into your life. When that comes back into your life, you can pay off loans, you can enhance quality of life, you can grow your business. But here's really the key at the bottom. Rather than retire, because the other model was to retire, I want to show you how to create economic independence. Economic independence is where you have enough cash flow from your assets to cover your expenses. That can come from two main types of assets. I'll show those in a minute. Number one is entrepreneurial-based income, which is income that shows up even if you don't go in, right? Having the right CEO can absolutely allow you to take time off and still make money. The second type is just having asset, like I'll go back to this real quick and show you. So for economic independence, there's the big three. The first one is business. Business is one of the biggest assets that create the most wealth. So if it's a business that you know and understand, you either grow it, acquire it, or whatever, but like you're going to be in the world of actual businesses that you have influence over. The next thing, and this is a huge one, is IP. You're in the game of IP. How can you create IP, whether it's either licensing it, whether it's growing your own business, or whatever? I've got 9 books, that's all IP. I've got digital courses, you guys do, that's IP. Like I'm using it to improve the industry. That's intellectual property, my speech and stuff like that. And then finally, real estate. But I like real estate that I could touch and utilize. I'm not buying big portfolios. Like when I had a lot of real estate, I had to talk to attorneys, bankers, property managers. And I thought, why am I doing this? There's nobody here that I want to have a conversation with, and they're on my calendar. When people bill you by the minute, it's usually not a pleasant situation. So, but this is the new portfolio. This is like stuff that you actually have individual pieces of, and you don't have to have all 3. You might have one. The key is in the middle of this is your investor DNA, because risk isn't in the investment, it's in you, the investor. Do these investments align with who you are? Do you have influence and control? Can you create cash flow? Can you learn from your mistakes? Can you make adjustments along the way? And like small businesses can have exponential growth, where big businesses that are already $1 trillion company, good luck doubling your return on that. You can make tweaks here and watch a 50% increase in the next 12 months. You have more influence over it, but everybody's afraid because they go, your business is risky. I'm here to tell you what you want to do is transfer business wealth into personal wealth in the most risk mitigated, risk-free fashion. Take your risks in your business, not in your investments that you have no control over. The world is having you take all of your risk in things that you have no idea of whether they're going to work out or not, because people that graduated from Harvard and can pass a test you can't pass are telling you what to do, but at the same time, they don't have your same investor DNA, and they're not who. If you know your sole purpose, if you know your values, your abilities, and your passions, and you bring that to the world in a congruent way, that's how you make money in a way that's fulfilling, and it's 3-dimensional. I only want 3-dimensional investments. 3-dimensional investments are, I get cash flow from them, equity, and I feel fulfilled because I have a degree and connection to the end user and result. So I don't trade options, because options are win-lose bullshit. They are. One person wins, one person loses. I'm not in a zero-sum game world. I once was at a course and there was an options trader sitting next to me, and my wife was just grabbing my knee because I was like, so what value do you provide? She goes, I can work from the beach or anywhere I want. I'm like, yeah, but what value does it provide in the world? It's like, well, it doesn't provide value. So why not be in the value creation game? There's too much pain in the world. There's too many people that are struggling, and there's too many brilliant people that are doing things because it's easy, not because it's worth it. So three-dimensional investing is you relate to that. So instead of taking high risk, this is about risk management. Like due diligence in finance is like Sasquatch. You hear about it all the time, but you've never seen it. You know what I'm saying? The key is you want someone on the same side of the table that's not selling you something to sit down and help you mitigate risk. Like when Scott and I worked together, I sold him 0 products. We sat down. I said, how do we plug leaks? That was the first thing. We plug leaks by what time? 5 minutes in, how much were the leaks that we plugged? $3 million, right? The rest of the day was pretty easy for Scott. I could do no wrong. We were popping the wine. I think it was like 3:30. We were celebrating and having wine. But the key is most people have grown in their business. They know they need a better team in their business, but they don't have the team in their finances. Because the person that started with you probably doesn't belong with you today because you've outgrown them and you are friends or you have a relationship. And you know what? I've had people let go of family members that were CPAs and they felt relieved. Not all the time. They might be able to be part of the team, but they're not the team anymore. You've got to get a second opinion. What's not working? What is working? What's broken? Because this is money that can go right into your pocket, less risk in your life. You don't have to go save a bunch more money. If you plug those leaks, you could put it back in your business, your quality of life, or your investments. But economic independence is where you have enough cash flow from assets to cover your expenses. Think about it. Most people are living this life where they're saving 10% of their income to chase a 10% rate of return to wait for 30 years for it to work out. That is dogmatic. It's slow. It's dangerous. Taki said I would be funny. I'm just intense. That's what you get today. This is the intense version because I'm wanting to make sure this gets through. But that whole notion of wait 30 years, I want you to get there in 10 years or less. And economic independence, think about it. If you have your assets creating enough cash flow to cover your basic expenses, every active dollar you earn can build more assets now. I know everybody talks about 10x. I'm gonna start talking about 10.3x. I don't know, just to be different. But this is literally a 10x strategy because no longer are you just saving 10% of your income. When you're economically independent, you can save 100% into new assets, creating more cash flow, improving your lifestyle. Not waiting for 30 years. And guess what happens when you're financially independent? You can swing for the fences in your vision, knowing that your kids are going to go to the same schools, you're going to eat the same food, you're going to drive the same vehicles, you're going to have the same house, which means if you married someone that has a different money persona than you, which is the universe's joke to say this is how attraction works, that all of a sudden there's a different level of support. I mean, can you imagine I'm in my 40s and I'm like, babe, I want to do comedy. And she's like, I just don't think you're as funny as you think you are. It's like, that really hurts. And then she reminds me of this time we went to a formal financial function and I drank too much tequila and I went up on stage and made an ass out of myself. People were laughing more at me, not at my jokes. She left the room embarrassed. And I was like, but people laugh all the time. She's like, you're making them money. They're being kind. But you know what? We're financially independent. So she's like, why don't you try it? She sat in the front row, white knuckled the whole time. But it's really her fault. She once said, you're kind of funny. I translate it as you're a comedic god. That's how I heard it. That's how I heard it, But then I could say, well, it's okay to have a hobby. It's okay to invest in my quality of life. It's okay to spend a summer in Italy. It's okay to do the things everybody's waiting for one day, someday along the way because I'm financially independent. So why not live a better life? What would it take for you to live the life you love? What would it take to create the life you never want to retire from? To me, it comes down to this. Vision is the win. Value is the way. Dollars are the byproduct, and prosperity becomes your state of being. That's the formula. The formula is it's not high risk equals high return. It's create cash flow to become economically independent. That should happen in 10 years. It's mitigate risk. It's invest in things you understand in either business, IP, real estate, or a combination of the three. Don't invest in things you don't know. Focus instead of diversify, because diversification is the strategy for the uber wealthy to store their assets. While you're becoming wealthy, focus on your business, grow it substantially, and transfer that to personal wealth in a risk-free fashion that you capitalize that money and you can utilize it when necessary. See, Malcolm Gladwell wrote this article in the New Yorker, and he was talking about the wealthiest people sat in cash for long periods of time and they pounced when everybody else was in distress because now they could provide liquidity and capital when everybody else was losing. So if you're sitting in a portfolio and interest rates go up and your money's going down, if you cash out, that's a guaranteed loss. But if you've got access to capital, this is the time to buy a business. This is the time to buy the real estate that you want to buy. And distress is already here and been well on its way. So the question is, will you be a leader or will you be complaining about the structure and situation at hand? Wealth is built through a conversation. What conversations are you having? That's what it comes down to. And are you committed to those conversations? Because what all vision really is for the person who's bold enough to speak it into existence. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to plant a seed of hope, connection, and expression in the hearts of a billion people using entertainment to educate, to help restore love to humanity and heal our wounds with money. A billion people, I don't know how to get there, but I'm speaking into existence. I'm committed to it. I'm here today for it. I'm writing books around it. My life, I'm going to go until I can't go anymore because all I know is by the third month in Italy, I was like, another 4-hour dinner? Are you kidding me? Can we just go do something else? What is it going to take to get our bill? Like, I like a little bit of like coming back into value creation again, you know? So if you take a break and you don't want to come back to what you have, maybe you don't have the right business. Maybe you're not doing the things that you enjoy. If you think that retirement sounds like a good thing, maybe you're like my dad and you're a coal miner. That was a good idea. You know, like my dad earned Labor Day. You know what I'm saying? He deserved to rest his broken mining skeleton in his black lung. Like that's hard work. Kids today don't labor. They don't deserve Labor Day. Working at Jamba Juice, you shouldn't get Labor Day off. Driving people around in Uber, please. Like that's reserved for construction workers, sanitation people, and Al Roker's personal trainer. That's labor. You know what I'm saying? So you got the old portfolio or you got the new portfolio. You've got wealth being on your terms, you deciding the game, you enjoying life along the way, or letting someone else tell you it's one day, someday. Just hand your money over because it's too complicated. Scrimp, save, sacrifice, and budget. Like all these things create constraint in you as a human, limit your ability to grow your business, require far too much time and energy in the mind. And ultimately what happens is when people lose in bad investments, it's not just the loss of the money, it's the loss of sleep, it's the frustration because you knew what it took to get there, and the harm that you've done to yourself and your family and your legacy. Because most people don't think about legacy till it's too late. They think about legacy when they already have a tax problem. They think about legacy when they've already destroyed so much because they've neglected everything that was important along the way to check that box and get that stupid award that doesn't even matter. And then all the time has to go back to repair everything that was broken because we were addicted to something that was a false promise of we're going to be prosperous when our net worth hits a certain amount. Forget about net worth, focus on cash flow. Forget about one day, someday, enjoy the process along the way. Create the life you don't want to retire from, build the life that you love. And when you find the work that's worth doing, you've already won. So I just came out with a book called Money Unmasked. Money Unmasked is about the 4 money personas and understanding the shadow side of the persona and the winning side. The shadow side comes when we're in isolation, when we're in scarcity, and when we think we have to do too much on our own. When we think we have to do everything on our own or by ourselves, we limit our prosperity and we destroy collaboration because we get stuck in competition or envy and scarcity. On the flip side, there's the winning persona. If you find the winning personas that you are not, then it's about co-creation, collaboration, and expansion because vision should not be something you can accomplish on your own. If you accomplish on your own, that's a goal or an objective, not a vision. If you are inspired by your vision, which is the rarest commodity in the world, it will tell your brain what's important and what to pay attention to. And people are looking for vision so badly because they want to be led. They want to be part of something that's big. Like when the Wright brothers proclaimed, if birds can glide for long periods of time, why can't we? Or when Malala started an international movement for human rights, bringing access to education in the Middle East, it's now gone throughout the world. Even a bullet couldn't stop her. Vision is things that people want to be a part of and around because it's an energy that breathes life in a world that feels like it's dark and lifeless. And entrepreneurs are going to be the ones that have to bring about this vision because everybody else is indoctrinated to follow the rules, trade time for money, get into consumer debt, and then wait for 30 years so they could finally enjoy life. I'm here to say it's time to buck that system. So when you know your money persona, you're going to see both what is the dark things or the things that would put you off track that are subconsciously sabotaging you, or what are the things that are going to help you leverage your best skill sets. and be able to do more. Understanding that for you, your spouse, and anyone you work with will be instrumental. So you can use it's a quiz that anyone can take and then you could learn from. So that's in the book. You want to learn how to recover cash? There's chapters on that. You want to learn how to profit from your ideas up front? There's chapters on that. But in the end, it is about your relationship to yourself, it's your relationship to money. And all we're really looking for, because we have the same question, whether we speak it out loud or not, is we're asking, am I lovable? That's the question. And once we know the answer, money will be a byproduct of everything we are and how we show up. Because life becomes more about flow. It becomes a lot less effortless. It's not what we could prove, but it's how we live. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And if you're enjoying these videos, well, there's good news. More where that came from. So go ahead and click through and watch the next video now.